Okay. So, good afternoon and welcome everyone to the engagement session on the UK Shared Prosperity Fund in Dumfries and Galloway. If I can get my slides to move on, I'll just give you an outline of what we're proposing to cover. And my slides haven't moved on yet. Have they moved on screen?
No, not yet.
Excellent. Technical. There we are. Do we have that now?
Yep.
Okay, so this afternoon we're looking firstly just to set the scene around the UK Fund so that we can engage with you on what we should include in our local investment plan. Particularly, we're looking to reflect on identifying our local challenges and opportunities and how they might fit within each of the three investment priorities. So we'll go through the overview of the Shared Prosperity Fund. There'll be an opportunity for questions and answers on that process and anything that we can do around the guidance on the Shared Prosperity Fund itself. And then the second part of the session, we'll move on to a discussion on those areas that we might want to include in the investment plan. So that's looking for those challenges and opportunities under each of those three priorities. Our submission will be aligned to our local regional economic strategy, which we consulted on extensively last year. Although we and Scottish Borders Council have agreed that we'll submit separate investment plans and joining up where it would be appropriate to do so. Hopefully these slides will move on more quickly. Okay, so the UK Shared Prosperity Fund is a central pillar of the UK government's levelling up agenda. It commits around £2.6 billion of new funding for local investment by March 2025. The prospectus was published on the 13th of April, setting out how the Shared Prosperity Fund would invest in priorities and target the funding where it's needed most. The priority goal of the Shared Prosperity Fund is to build pride in place and increase life chances. And it focuses on the three priorities that you see on the screen there: communities in place, supporting local business, and people and skills. In addition to that, there is a multiply programme which has the objective of improving numeracy in the adult population. So to break the allocation for Dumfries and Galloway down in detail on the slide here, we have our core funding, and then we have an additional ring-fenced allocation, which is dedicated to the Multiply programme. The allocation covers 3 years and it will taper in over what remains of this year and then split over the next 2 years. And it includes an element that can be spent on capital costs, but it's largely a revenue programme. There's also an allowance in there for management fees and for capacity building to develop the investment plan that we're doing just now. Each of the priorities have interventions associated with them. So there's 51 interventions in total, and each of those interventions have associated outputs and outcomes which we can choose from. So I'll just pause for a moment to let you read the objectives rather than reading them out. Okay, to move on, the multiply element of the programme aims to improve numeracy. The objectives are around increasing the number of adults achieving maths qualifications up to and including SCQF level 5, improving labour market outcomes, for example, having fewer numeracy and skills gaps reported by employers, or an increased proportion of adults progressing into sustained employment or education, and increased general adult numeracy right across the population. So the part we're concerned with today is the development of the investment plan. The investment plan has to be submitted by the 1st of August, so it's a very short time scale. It's required to evidence local opportunities and challenges. If we've done that, we will be able to select appropriate outcomes and interventions, those that we want to target based on those local priorities that we identify. As part of that, we also have to outline how we will deliver the programme and profile our expenditure over the 3 years of the programme. What the investment plan doesn't contain just now is details of the projects that we'll deliver. That will come at the next stage. The investment plan also needs to evidence our engagement with stakeholders who are detailed in the guidance. So that's the purpose of today's event and other events which were undertaken with our regional economic partnership. So local authorities have the responsibility of developing the local investment plan and submitting it by the deadline of the 1st of August. We have to provide governance, and we're encouraged where appropriate to work with our neighbouring local authorities, such as Scottish Borders. For us, we're in the south of Scotland area, and we're lucky to be able to have that alignment within our regional economic strategy, which was only recently developed. Alongside that, we have to manage the fund, which includes assessing projects, allocating the funding, and regular evaluation and reporting back to government as specified in the guidance. So just to summarise the timeline as well, the investment plan portal opened at the end of June. We must submit our plan by the 1st of August. And then from July to September, the UK government will take time to review the applications and submissions. They're expected to be signed off in October. And then from October, we have the full amount will be paid, and we have to spend that full amount for this year's allocation at the moment by the 31st of March 2023. I referenced that in an earlier slide. There's no carry forward of the funding, and that will apply to each of the years. The full amount will be paid in advance, and we have to spend it and defray the full amount in that actual year. And I'll pause there, and we can maybe stop recording and put cameras on for any questions. I realise that was a bit of a gallop through and quite a lot of information. What we do have as well at the end of the slides is a lot of links to relevant